So tonight we're going to work on this part. This is the vase that I'm thinking of doing with beautiful pink and light yellow flowers in it, or roses. Now, the vase is blue, dark blue. I would say I'm using Prussian blue, and I'm going to highlight my Prussian blue with a bit of white. Maybe if I need some black to go darker, I'll do that. Or I could use Payne's gray instead of black. So let's do that. Let's work on this one. Let's work on this vase. It's a strong color, but I think it would look nice with pink. Okay. Let's grab a good brush. Round brush. You know, I'm going to have some Payne's gray ready. I'll put some bit of Payne's gray in it, although Prussian blue is really dark anyway. And we start from top. Bring it down. I like the detail on this vase, especially the base. Okay, this is pretty dark. It's blue, but it's really dark blue. Now I'm going to take a touch of white, very small amount. Put it into my Payne's gray and blue. And I'm going to do a bit of kind of highlight the bottom part where I'm going to get some light in here. And because it's still wet, it's good. It's a good idea. It's good that it's still wet, so I can blend my highlight in softly. So now I'm getting a very beautiful kind of bluish. Can't see it. So there we go. Go higher. It becomes darker, and the bottom part is lighter. I use a bit of stronger white just to add a hint of a reflection, and that hint will make it look like it's shiny. Actually, I need to wait for that. I'm gonna wait a bit. Taking a little bit more white slowly. I'm just adding a bit of I'm gonna wait for it to dry and then I will glaze it with more blue if it needs to be glazed. All right. It doesn't look that, it looks smoother here, but it's just the camera is showing brush strokes. All right. While this is drying, I'm just gonna work on the base. So I have raw umber and titanium buff, and I have white for a stronger highlight. So this is gonna be interesting because it's very small, this detail. So I'll try to simplify as much as I can. Raw umber, titanium buff. I think this is too big as for a brush. I'm gonna go for a smaller round brush. And these brushes are the Princeton Snap inexpensive round brushes number 0. I'm gonna go a tiny bit darker, so I'm adding a bit more raw umber, because if I go darker, I can highlight, and I can highlight with, I can highlight and create a nice detail. Okay. Take a bit of more titanium buff into my raw umber now. hint of a pattern in here. Very small amount. Now I'm going to take white. I did not clean my brush, just the way it is. Just take a bit of white and enhance this highlight in here in the front, just the front part. This white in the, adding white to the color for the center detail makes the base look like it's rounded. It's not flat. So it's good. So it doesn't mean we can't talk if I'm, recording. We can still talk.
You want some more puns?
Sure. So what I have here is cadmium red medium, white, and alizarin crimson. So what we're going to try to do is create that beautiful kind of grouping of roses, but at the same time, this is really wide right now coming out. So I don't know if we need to go out that much, but we will see it according to the shape we have of the vase and what we have around it. But the best way to find out is to actually do it. So I have a round brush and I'm going to start from here, from the corner. I'm going to go over. I might need to go a bit darker. Oh. It's okay, whatever I get right now, it's just kind of filling, it's not, I would get a better shape and better detail once I start highlighting. And I will, at that point as well, I will decide the direction of the flower, each one of them, the rows, where they're pointing, which direction they're pointing to. So now, okay, one over down here a bit. I mean, it might overlap with the stand where the bird is. All right. So I really don't have a specific shape right now. All I'm doing is I'm creating a general shape. And I really don't have to do one by one. I can do a big lump and then go from there. But I think if I do it slowly this way, it will be easier to get a nice shape. Mm. Okay, I think it's good enough. If I remove the light, it's easier for you to see. I might need a bit of raw umber. I'm going to mix raw umber. I love raw umber with these things because, you know, raw umber, when you use it with stuff like this, it doesn't muddy the color. I'm just going to, in between, there's like a light empty, it's because the background is yellow, so I don't have depth. And I don't want to put it everywhere, just in the center. Just a bit. I will be highlighting, so most of this will disappear. Is this not? Let me see. All right, let's start. Let's start giving those roses a bit of shape. So I'm going to start adding white. And I actually like this raw umber. So even though they're kind of very fresh and light, but adding that touch, very small amount of raw umber will tone down that brightness, make it more earthy, much more interesting to look at than having just pink, red and yellow and white. Let's see. Okay, so adding white. Oh, let's see what we're gonna do here. I have to add this highlight slowly. So if this is too light, that's too light. I'm gonna go back, bring some red in, Little umber. And I'm going to highlight the same way I always highlight. Dark, medium, light. So this is, oh, that's perfect. Okay, that's good. And again, this is kind of far away, so the detail is not that strong or big, heavy. But using cadmium red medium, white, and a touch of raw umber in there, made it much more, made those flowers much more interesting, and not kind of an artificial color. They look more realistic. No, I know this is not right now. It you don't see it too much. It's not enough. But I always highlight slowly. I don't want to highlight right away. I'm going to be highlighting more shortly. I'm doing it slowly. Small round brush, trying not to connect all the lines. So I get kind of a interesting petal kind of shape. And if you look at the reference, you know, you see some detail, but not extremely detailed. This is should be far away. Okay, that's good. A little bit more. Wet my brush so I can get thin lines. I'm trying my best not to lose the dark I had before, because if I do lose it, then I have to start it again. Because if I don't have this dark, I don't have a shape. Okay. Wet my brush again. So when you wet your brush, I wet my brush and then I kind of clean it a bit. All right, almost there. Okay. Make some brush strokes wider than others. Right, more white now. Wow, some of them are really white, like really beautiful kind of light color. Okay, so let's take, I'm going to change colors a bit. So I'm going to take Naples yellow. Naples yellow is a very soft yellow, pastel yellow. I'm going to add white to my Naples yellow. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's take Naples yellow, the same thing, get raw umber, Naples yellow, but not too much raw umber, because with Naples yellow, raw umber will look, if you put too much, you're going to end up with a brown. I just need a couple of yellow, but very soft. So I need a dark base for my yellows. Let's keep those yellows in the center. They don't have to spread everywhere. All right, now I can go to Naples yellow and white. Kind of. I'm gonna put more white in a minute. I'll wait for it to dry and then I'll gauge how much white I should be putting in there. I like this. I like the yellow in there because it looks much more interesting with the yellow in between the pink. White with my Naples yellow. More white. I think, and with these, because we don't have a specific shape, it's probably important to make sure that the brush strokes are not all on one level. So if I'm doing this flower here, I'll just get some irregular shape on top. This is a soft white, so it's working out really nice. Let's go back to pink. In this kind of setting, the less detail you have, the better. Shouldn't be too detailed. It's just a hint of a detail. If I find that there's too many lines and darks in between those lines, it makes it look choppy. So I usually go in and I soften these lines in between. No one's going to look at this. No one should recognize what you have in there. So these are roses, and you can tell they're fine. The ones in the window should be less detailed than the focal point. Focal point is right there on the left. It's the girl with the flowers. Now, I'm going to let it dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glaze over some of that white, especially the bottom ones, because right now everything is the same. There's light on everything. So the value is exactly the same from here to here, which looks really artificial. So usually flowers are darker in here, inside, lighter outside, darker at the bottom, lighter on top. So all of this I'm going to adjust when it's completely dry. But as far as kind of shapes, it's not bad. Good enough. Of course, acrylic dries darker, so I have to wait for it to dry and then adjust the highlights. So I'm taking a little bit more of light pink. And I'm going to highlight some of the top because everything's drying the same value. They're all light. That's why I want to kind of go in and glaze some areas darker pink. To push the bottom of the flower or the rose in. Okay. Okay. There's one more thing we need to do, and it's adding some green. So I have Prussian blue, and I have, let's try Prussian blue and Naples yellow. No, it's too light. Oh, jeez. Come on. Okay, let's see it. Prussian blue, cadmium yellow, medium. Yeah, that's nice. Some Prussian blue and cadmium yellow medium. Let's add a bit of a couple of leaves in here. While I'm waiting for the paint to dry. Okay, good. Highlight a bit my green. Shouldn't be too dark in between those pink flowers. Should be a soft green. It's amazing how, putting a bit of green makes a big difference. Okay, one more. All right. Last thing, I like to put a couple of dots of white here and there. Let's wait for it to dry.
Okay.
Huh? So Maria, you were saying something? I'm gonna, yeah, just kind of mixing. I mixed raw umber, titanium buff, and a very small amount of cadmium red medium. And it's, when I say small amount, is like this. That's it. Otherwise, it would be too strong. And then trying to get a detail here. So we have decided tonight to add a detail on those, on this column, just to make it look more interesting. I'm sure I'm going to regret this later on because it's too much work, but we'll see. Let's do that. And we're getting inspired by this window. We're not going to do the same detail, but we're going to do something kind of close, simple, just to make it more interesting than just a block. Round brush. My paint is wet, kind of. It's not dry. Otherwise, I can't do this line. I'm going to push this out. The second one would be in. I think, I'm not sure where the light is coming from actually, but let's try and do this. One more. This way on the side.
Would her hair show an indication of where the light is coming from?
I'll show you why I'm saying I'm wondering where the light's coming.
Oh, because it's inside the window.
It's inside the window, and also
Yeah.
because I'm going to do a detail right here
Yeah.
where it shows that this part is in this. So if it's an in, I'll show you. I'll explain in a minute. I'll explain better in a minute. I'll try, because this is not really working well. Let's take again titanium buff and do you remember how we used to do the doors? Remember the detail on
Yes.
the panel?
Mm-hmm.
So where the light is coming from, half of the panel, the detail, this is dark, but this is not working because the color is not right. So if I want this to work properly, this color should be a dark taupe, not brown. This. So I'm going to take black and raw umber, mix them together. So instead of having brown, I should have a taupey color, kind of a black brown color. And it shouldn't be too dark. So this should be good. So let's see, instead of brown, it dries darker because it's acrylic. So I don't know if you can see what I'm trying to achieve here. That kind of indentation in the I'll show you now in a minute here with the what I'm trying to do right now is soften this dark, to soften it a bit. I like the combination of black and raw umber for this, and adding a titanium buff with it to soften it, because that gives me a good shadow. But it's soft, it's not harsh. Again. Highlighting white, and white and this kind of combination of titanium buff. I mean, raw umber and black and titanium buff. But I'm adding a bit more white. So now I can highlight here a bit. Soften those shadows, because of course it's acrylic, it dries darker, it looks harsher. So I have to keep on adjusting. Now I can see, again, black, raw umber, just black and raw umber, because I can see this here needs to be pushed in. And this adjusted into a nice. All right. Now this is optional. It doesn't have to be done. It's optional. If you don't want to do it, no problem. I understand. Okay. Now that I'm sure this is dry, I'm going to try to glaze some of those flowers in a softer or in a darker pink. So I'm using cadmium red light, cadmium red medium, white, and a touch of raw umber. And what I'm going to do now is make sure that my color is transparent. You can see here. And I'm going to try to glaze some of these in here, darker. I'm not going to go too dark. This is not a glaze right now. I added a touch more. I'm adding a bit more pink. I just want to make sure that the bottom of those flowers are darker than the top of the flower itself, even individually. The bottom should be a little bit darker than the top. Otherwise, it'll look flat. It'll look flat. Okay, you don't have to do too much. And that's it.